what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today for you guys I have two Uber nightmare horror stories animated by MJV animations. I noticed that my MJV animation videos do not get many views. I don't know if you guys like this channel or not. If you guys want me to continue reacting to him, let me know. If you guys don't, also let me know. Just because channels that you guys don't really want to watch, I don't really want to do a reaction to. Because if you guys don't want to see it, what's the point of watching it? Like, I'm watching the video for you guys to watch my reaction to it, but then no one watches it. There's no point in doing it, right? So if you guys do want to see it, let me know. But if you guys don't, then let me know as well. You know, because I don't want to do it if you're not going to watch it, right? Because there's no point. Because I do these videos for you guys, right? But then if you guys don't like it, then it's like, what the fuck am I doing it for? Anyways, this is going to be two Uber horror stories. This is pretty long for two stories, 16 minutes and 4 seconds. So I assume roughly each story is about 8 minutes long. So these stories obviously go in depth. Uber has always been something that's like kind of sus. You always kind of have to like watch out with it because again, it's Uber, like it basically a random person you driving you from point A to point B, and the point B may not be where you want to go. So you might go from point A to somewhere that you do not want to go. So all I can say is be cautious, be aware of where you're going. You know, like be alert of what's going on. Like make sure that you're going the same place that you're supposed to be going to. Like I hear stories about like Uber and Lyft and all that. Like my ex-best friend actually kind of almost got abducted by a Lyft driver. So it's like, you gotta be careful, okay? Anyways, this is 16 minutes long. Two Uber nightmare horror stories. Let's go. MJV animations. Uber ride. Yeah, Uber's just sus, to be honest.
I hardly like to remember the first and last time I ever took an Uber, as it was a fairly traumatic experience. I had just finished an 11-hour shift, and I hadn't hardly gotten any sleep the night before. Even if I had a vehicle at that time, I'm not sure I would have chosen to drive myself home, just because of my level of exhaustion. Usually I took a taxi home, but either the ones that drove past me that day didn't want to drive me, or they were all taken.
Well, call.
So I chose to use Uber since my friends both raved so hard about it.
You can call a taxi. You can call a taxi.
Well, in every good few experiences, there's a bad one. This is where mine begins. Once my Uber arrived, I noticed it had no back license plate.
Sus.
But I didn't think much about it because, to be quite honest, I was a blink away from passing out onto the pavement. So, of course, I didn't think anything on it. The moment I sat in the vehicle, I noticed how clean and impeccable everything was, especially compared to most of the taxis I had taken in my life. Another thing I noticed was how the man in the front seat never so much as took a glance in my direction. He even just sat there for a minute in complete and utter silence.
Hi?
Moving.
Like, what the fuck?
After that minute, I began to think that I had somehow gotten into the wrong vehicle. I apologized. But once I did, the car started moving, so I relaxed a bit, assuming he may have just been waiting for a moment to get back into traffic.
Is there a destination?
The last thing I remembered was watching the bustling downtown area going about its business, until my eyes finally chose to flutter shut.
Oh no, you never fall asleep in an Uber.
I wake up once the car hits a large pothole in the road, causing me to whack my head onto the window fairly hard. The first thing that alerted me to something being wrong was the fact that it was super dark out. When I entered the Uber, it was at least 3 p.m. It doesn't get dark this time of year till at least 4 or 5 at night. On top of that, the highway in which I didn't recognize was practically dead, which
how far
in itself was a rarity.
How far away?
I couldn't even begin to comprehend how long I'd actually been out for.
How long is the drive?
As I glanced out the window, I felt my heart sink into the pit of my stomach slightly. We were no longer inside the city. Instead, we were on a pitch-black highway surrounded by dense forest.
Fuck.
And I didn't live anywhere outside of the city.
Oh, fuck.
I quickly began to feel the tingling sensation of eyes on me, causing me to turn my head to the empty seat beside me. Except, it was no longer empty.
What?
It was nearly too dark to see, but I was able to make out the shape of a dark, lanky figure seated
Oh my
beside
god,
me.
that's creepy.
The only part of his face were lit up by the dim dash lights.
Fuck no.
His insanely wide eyes, staring at me intensely.
No.
The way he looked at me gave me a sense of complete and utter panic.
Oh my god.
I was in a situation that I never thought could happen to me. It was something that happened to other people, but never me. Do you happen to know if we're close to my destination? I questioned, trying to sound as calm as possible. Then the man beside me continued to stare at me longer than any sane person would be comfortable with. He has other plans for you. A new destination. We're almost there. The man beside me stated.
Bitch, I'm going home. I don't know what the fuck you're saying about freaking new destination, bitch. I'm going home, going to bed.
Time since I had woken up. The man's words quickly sent my already present panic into overdrive. The car was going nearly 100 miles per hour on the highway.
Miles per hour?
In the middle of the night, my mind began to race as fast as the vehicle, grasping at any faint idea I could use to get me out of the car or out of this situation. If I jumped out of the vehicle and somehow didn't break any bones or end up dead, they wouldn't easily find me on the road. Plus, I had no clue where I even was. I have to go to the bathroom. Could we maybe make a quick stop? I said. The two men simply stayed quiet, practically ignoring my question, although it hardly seemed as though they had even heard me at all. The others will welcome you once he is done. He will welcome you. The man in the front seat finally spoke deeply, the vibrato and the intent in his voice shaking me to the core. That moment, a single vehicle finally drove past us. The light that filled the car was enough to help me see my surroundings better, giving me a moment to get a more clear look at the second passenger.
Oh,
The man
God.
beside me had fresh stitches all over his face. His top eyelids were stuck open, making his constant wide eyes more understandable, but
That's fucking
no
creepy.
less unsettling. His entire face was almost like some sick sewing project, almost reminiscent of Frankenstein, but confined to the
fuck.
head rather than the entire body. You came to us for a reason. You will be pleased to make you like me. Like us. The man
Bitch,
beside
I
me
went
said,
into an Uber to go
began
home.
stroke my hair and touch the features of my face. I began to shake under the stranger's touch,
Okay.
as well as his words. His fingers were rough and disconcertingly dry.
Ew.
The sound of sirens from
Oh,
behind
shit, police
us
are behind
and
you.
an overbearing rush of relief washed over me. But there was also an almost uncomfortable tension that fell upon the air. It felt as if something within the air was taut, and ready
You
to
stopped
snap
in
at any
front of
moment,
the car, you stopped
as if
behind
the
the car.
slightest provocation or wrong movement could cause it to blow. Do you folks know why I pulled you over? The
Speeding.
police officer questioned once he reached the car. No, sir, I don't believe I do.
Speeding.
The man in the driver's seat said in a flat manner. Well, for starters, you were going nearly 50 over the speed limit. That, of course, isn't a huge deal, as it is the highway. And it's not very busy right now.
Stop.
Both of your headlights are burnt out, and that's way too dangerous for the road. I'm surprised I even caught you. It was so dark. The officer stated calmly, tapping his fingers against the car as he stared into the dark vehicle. The moment his eyes made contact with my own, I tried as hard as possible to convey my fear, to slightly plead for help without aggravating the two men in some way.
Say
I
help.
thought I recognized you. There's a warrant out for your arrest. I'm afraid I'll have to take you in.
Oh shit,
The cop
what?
says sternly, singling me out. The men around me didn't seem to clue into the fact that he was talking to me, as I saw them both tense up at his words. The moment the police officer opened the passenger door beside me, I nearly began crying out in relief. But I refrained. The men behind me stayed uncomfortably quiet as the cop locked the cuffs on me.
Oh, is it like
Now
a...
overly acquainted sense of unease and panic continued to fuel me. The men beside me stayed uncomfortably quiet as the cop locked the cuffs on me. The now overly acquainted sense of unease and panic continued to fill me as I felt the man's eyes bore into my back. It felt like at any moment my chance at freedom would be taken away, that they would be armed and shoot my savior, or even me. But they didn't either. Instead, they sat there within the car quietly, just staring at us in a horrific trance-like state. Even as the cop began to drive away, I somehow felt their cold and unnerving stares upon my skin. The air still thick with tension, and no matter how
I
far
thought their
away we
headlights were
got,
burnt out.
their car never moved so much as an inch, which made my feeling even more so stressed than before, if that was even possible. How'd you know I needed help? I'm a cop. I could recognize the look in your eyes from a mile away. I see it daily. He stated.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
In
wait, why is
seconds,
there
I
a warrant
began
for his
breaking
arrest? I
down
was
in
like, what
tears.
happened?
Every emotion suddenly overwhelmed me. The man didn't say another word the whole entire ride. He simply let me cry it out. He even offered to watch my house for the night in case they came back, as I had given them my address. I, of course, said yes, even though I didn't sleep a wink that night. They never came back. The thought sickens and terrifies me. Maybe they never even left that spot on the highway. If that hellish car had never gotten pulled over, I don't even want to know what would have happened. I wouldn't have
You're
gotten my
fucking
chance
lucky.
to escape that horrible situation I'd found myself in. Be careful if you take an Uber or any other service like it. No matter how tired you are, don't fall asleep in the vehicle.
Right? Never do that, ever.
Uber nightmare. It was another night on the job. Not that I liked nights on the job, but my rent was due in a week and I already spent the money I had on new tires and an oil change for my car. I knew that was no excuse for my landlord, who told me last month, If you're late on your rent again, I'll make sure you're gone.
Shit.
Yeah, she wasn't big on leniency. In any case, I've spent every night chauffeuring around kids, workaholics, and drunks for the abysmal wage Uber will give me. I couldn't be kicked out onto the streets. It's not like I had family around since I moved to this quiet coastal town a few months ago. I haven't really made any friends here either. So, into the night, I drove. I hated driving around at night. It gave me the creeps. Because it was close to the water, there was always this ominous dew that blanketed the sky. Imagine that drive down a foggy bridge. You know, the one where you didn't dare look back through the rearview mirror. Anyway, I just dropped off this inebriated couple from a bar. When my next picked up pinged my phone, I thought to myself, that was fast. But it was late. Probably just another person leaving the bar, as last call I'd surely passed. As I drove to pick up my next passenger, I noticed that this person is exactly where I picked up the couple a half hour earlier. At this time, it didn't strike me as too strange. It was more of just a weird coincidence. I shrugged it off rather quickly. As I approached, I didn't see anybody, and there seemed to be an extra layer of fog. I honked and looked to see if anybody was walking up, but I didn't see anything. I averted my eyes to my phone to double check the pickup location. No, I was in the right. The rear driver door suddenly opens.
What?
My heart was definitely close to leaping out of my chest.
Shit.
Hello there. You scared the hell out of me. I laughed. I was even a little embarrassed. It was a heavyset guy who didn't say anything as he stepped in and sat.
Okay, anybody that says nothing is sus.
He was clutching a brown paper bag. He put it beside him, keeping it close. Then he looked at me with a blank stare. I turned back around quickly.
That's creepy, no.
It said you want to be dropped off just a block away? Was there a mistake? I mean, no problem. I just want to make sure it wasn't a mistake. Finally, the guy spoke. His voice was low and harsh. Must be a mistake. He paused. Was he going to say something else? Did I not hear something he said?
What's
I'm with the couple that you just picked up. Oh, really? I asked instinctively. They wanted to ride separately, he said, matter-of-factly. Then I remembered that the couple was making out, and they were surely drunk. So I guess it did make sense for them to ride alone.
I guess.
Still, it just seemed so strange. So I'm taking you to the same place I took them then? I asked. He just grunted. I felt like something was off, but I have to admit I was
there's probably a gun in that bag.
anything.
There's probably a gun in that bag.
I put their address in, put the car in gear, and drove off. Every so often, I glanced at the brown paper bag the guy had next to
There's
him.
probably a gun in
I didn't
there.
want to be obvious, but I wondered if there was maybe a beer in the bag, maybe some snacks. I even began to wonder if there was a weapon of some sort inside.
Probably.
Maybe I was just being paranoid.
Nah,
Then
he's
my
just
phone
sus.
sounded and I almost jumped. I had a notification from Uber that there was someone else that wanted to be picked up along the way. That was weird since it was already past 3 in the morning. It didn't bother me though. I was just relieved to have someone else join us. I started
Yeah, but
getting more.
you don't
and more
have to. You have to
unnatural
tell
with
the
strange
person
guy
first.
sitting behind me.
Like,
We
ask
got
if
to
it's
the
okay,
location of the
right?
other passenger. She was standing under a street light. Easy to find this time.
Don't
Already an
you
upgrade from my last pickup. This girl was bundled up quite a bit, so it was hard to get a good look at her. She slowly
have to
jogged
ask
up to
the customer
passenger
behind
side
you
of the
first
car,
if it's okay? You
which
can't just invite
I
random
usually
people in,
advise that
right?
person to sit in the back. But given this guy back there, I decided to not put her in that situation. She opened the door and got in quickly. Hello, late night. Huh. She looked at me and her eyes seemed ice cold. It was unnerving. She smiled and looked out ahead. I brushed it off and looked to see where she was being dropped off at. It was the same address the couple was dropped off
Oh
at.
no.
The same address I was taking this guy.
No.
I looked at her and asked, so you all know each other? She looked back at the guy and then smiled. She then looked at me and said confidently,
This is a setup. This is a
swallowed the
setup.
spit that had been welling up in my mouth and shut up for the rest of the drive. I was sure something was wrong.
Wasn't the guy over there? Now
Nothing
he's
I
over
could
there.
do at this point. My best bet was to just drop them off and go home. We were just minutes away. Then all this would be over. As we pulled up to the address, I noticed all the lights were off. Great. The guy got out first and began walking towards the house. Then the girl got out. Before she closed the door, she looked back and said, "You just have to wait a minute. We're dropping off something they forgot. We'll be right back." She smiled and waited to hear how I was going to respond.
What?
Yeah, of course. Now, why the hell did I say that? She shut the door and went to follow the guy.
I would fucking dip the fuck out of there.
It was so dark. I even lost sight of them. Then I looked ahead and sat there for a few minutes. Should I just leave?
Yes.
I thought to myself. Before I could even entertain the thought, the girl's hand slammed on the passenger window.
Fuck.
She opened the door and exclaimed, "Please, hurry quick. My friend needs help." My jaw dropped.
Here it is.
I knew something bad was happening. Something just didn't feel right. I sat there frozen. "Hurry, there's blood. We need your help to get her to the hospital," she continued.
No, this is all a setup.
Fear out of the back of my mind.
This is all a setup. That's so fucking creepy. No.
Closely as we neared the front door.
Like, oh yeah, come in my house.
Just inside the
No.
door.
No.
I stopped and was going to make a run for it back to my car, but the door slammed before I could step out. The guy was standing there and shoved me to the ground.
Fuck.
He had a blood-soaked knife in his hands. The girl slowly turned to me and told me to run, while laughing maniacally.
Fuck.
Still, on the ground, I crawled as fast as I could to the next room. It was the house's dining room. I couldn't believe my eyes. The couple I had driven home about an hour ago were sitting at the table. Both sat there dead.
Oh my god.
As I continued to crawl, my hands and knees became
soaked with
their blood.
Get the fuck
I tried
up.
to cry out, but my shock would not let me. The guy was behind me now, though I couldn't see the girl. I stood up and tried to see if I could make it to the staircase in the next room.
Fuck, man.
Screaming at this point. I darted and could feel the guy dart after me. I glanced back
But
and
go.
saw the guy slip on their blood.
Ha!
I ran even faster up the stairs. The girl's voice started laughing again, but this time from somewhere I couldn't see. One of the upstairs bedroom's door was open, so I jumped in and shoved myself in the closet.
Leave the fucking building. Fuck.
Terrified, I cried into my hands, smearing blood across my hair and face. I was a dead man, and we all knew it. I couldn't hear anything at first. Then there were loud, heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. I tried to quiet my sobs, as if that was going to do anything. It was only a matter of time. Police sirens filled my ears.
Oh,
the neighbors
okay.
must have heard it and called it in.
Hopefully.
Those footsteps coming up began rushing back down the stairs and out a door. When I was sure the coast was clear, I stepped out of the closet and fell to my knees. All of the sirens were stationary now, and it was clear the police were about to storm in. I was saved. Somehow, I became the survivor of the worst Uber ride of my life. They never did catch those two maniacs, however, and since that night, 4 other couples have turned up dead.
Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. Honestly, it's not only taking an Uber that's sus, it's mainly being an Uber driver, because like you don't know who the fuck's gonna get in the car, that's what I mean, right? So it's like, being an Uber driver is probably the worst thing. Not even taking an Uber itself, being the Uber driver itself is probably like fucking terrifying. Fuck. Like, I just don't understand how people plan murders like that and shit. Like, seriously, like you have nothing better to do with your life? That's what you're doing on your freaking time off? Obviously they were both psychopaths. Obviously that was just something to lure them in. Like, yeah, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Like, get the fuck out of there. One, they're being sus. The girl was also being sus too, so it's not even like she looked innocent. She did look innocent. But then apparently it turns out they were like hand in hand. It was like a duo type thing. A planned thingy. Planned, and that's why it was on the way. That's why it was all a setup. Guaranteed it was all a setup. Because the guy basically almost died. Like, I don't know how the fuck the neighbors knew to call the cops. Because then even if you hear screaming, like just because I hear screaming from the next door, that doesn't mean right away I'm saying call the police. No. I could be anybody screaming. Like, it doesn't mean for anything like crazy, you know what I mean? It could just be a basic scream. It doesn't mean it's anything about like murderous or I don't know, some shit like that. So it's just like, fuck man, I don't know. That's fucking scary shit though, fuck man. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, it's just like, you obviously really gotta be careful because it's just like you don't even know what the fuck is gonna happen when you're driving an Uber. Like, or just like being a cop, you just don't know. Like, you don't even know if you're gonna freaking come home that night. Same thing with Uber. Apparently, you never know if you're gonna freaking survive. That's why you never do it at nighttime. Like, anybody that does that shit at nighttime is just fucked because like you're probably gonna die. Like you're doing it at nighttime, you're basically asking to die in a sense. Like, I don't know if I'm stupid for saying that, but like doing Uber Eats at night, for example, that's not too bad because like you're just delivering food, but that's still a little bit creepy. No one's sitting in your vehicle, but it's like you still kind of have to give it to someone. It's like 2 in the morning, they're gonna come outside, you don't know if they're gonna freaking shoot you or some shit. Like, it's just really uneasy. Like, delivering anything to anybody in the daytime, it's okay, whatever. But like nighttime, fuck no, no. Especially fucking Uber, because again, Uber driver is in really serious danger, or it could be the Uber driver that's fucked up too. But usually it's the driver that's in danger. So, fuck. I only take taxis or cabs with the city because that's a whole lot less likely for anything to happen. But Uber's Uber, like, you know what I mean? Like anything can really happen with Uber. So you really gotta be careful. Really gotta, I don't know. Really gotta have your shit on your. Really gotta have like your alertness on. You know what I mean? Oh, fuck. Anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys do have any thoughts or comments, let me know in the comments below. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like. Comment down below what else you guys want to see. And subscribe and turn on post notifications as well. And for God's sakes, be careful. Be fucking careful, unless you're the fucking psycho that's doing this shit. Then fuck you, but be careful. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. That's the end of this video. I'll see you guys later. Deuces. Peace.